This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today it's all about the dice. And not only the dice, but we're going to be using those dice to cast all these different magical spells. Today we're talking about, ta-da! This is a fast-paced dice and spell game from Cool Mini or Not, designed by Steve Avery for 2 to 6 players. Takes about 10 or 15 minutes to play, so we have a real-time speed aspect as well. Let me show you how it's played. Each player is going to pick a color cup, and with that cup are going to come 6 dice of their color, and those are nice custom dice. In this game, you're trying to be the first to cast 6 spells. At the beginning of your round, you're going to draw up so that you have 2 spells, and you'll keep those secret. Then one of these feat cards are going to be turned over, and these things change each round and make them somewhat crazy. Let me show you some examples of these. For example, pick an animal. You must imitate that animal each time that you lock a die. You must keep your right arm behind your back this entire round. Chopsticks. You must pick dice up only using your index and middle finger. Handcuffs. You must keep your wrist crossed over the other the entire time this round. You must knock the table 3 times each time you lock a die. So these different things are going to change what the different rounds do. They're typically pretty silly. Now, once everyone has seen what the feat is for this round, they will look at their 2 spells and they will decide which one to take. Now, to show you what these look like, first of all, when you do select one, you'll read it out to everybody, double fuzzle fizzle, and we will try to get these dice on here, or I could have selected fizzling fingertips. Now, on these dice, they're different. So this little arrow symbol is on there twice, and this little symbol is on there twice. The other 2, the little squiggly and the broken wand, are only on there once. And so by looking at this, you can figure out which one you might want to do. Some of them have special abilities that will trigger if you finish. Some of them don't. So let's say I selected this one, and then we would get ready to start knowing that you have to keep this in there. So we would go ahead and everyone would roll as fast as they can, and you can only lock 1 die. And when I lock it, in this case, I've got to knock 3 times on the door, and then I would have to put all these dice back on my cup, and then I would roll them again as fast as I could, and I can only lock 1 die at a time. Even if I could lock more than 1, I can only lock 1, and I come down here, I'd roll it again. Ooh, I got 1 here, I'd knock 3 times. Every time you lock a die, you'd roll 3 times, and then I would go like this, and I'd be done. If I didn't have any that finished that were able to be put, I'd have to throw them all in and roll, and you're trying to do it as fast as you can, because the first one that's done is going to yell, ta-da, and you're going to show that you have done this. Now, when playing with up to 3 players, the first person will end the round that finished this. With 4 or 5 players, the first 2 players that succeed will basically get to have their spell done. And with 6 players, the first 3 players that say ta-da will be able to finish their spell. Now, some of these spells have nothing. You'll just finish it, and you'll just put this in front of you as a point. Remember, you're trying to get 6 of these completed. These ones have the special abilities. For example, select 1 player. Next round, they must lock 2 broken wands before attempting their spell. Those are the hard ones to get the lock. So these, if you do one with a special ability and you do get that done by saying ta-da, you can activate a special ability. Some of them have it, some of them don't. And again, you're just trying to be the first to get 6 of these done. Now, for those that did not successfully cast their spell, maybe I was trying to do this one, didn't get it done, then this would get discarded. And then again, at the beginning, everyone's drawing up to 2 spells from their hand to be able to figure out which one they want to pick. Now, first I gotta say, I typically do enjoy short and silly games. I don't mind playing silly games. I don't mind playing games that are like activities and not really games. And I have no problems. In fact, I have some games in my collection I absolutely love that are just short and silly like this. And I've got to say that Steve Avery is a good friend of mine and a designer that I highly respect. His game that he designed with Tom Bassel, Nothing Personal, is still one of my favorite games of all time. And I've gotten to play a lot of his silly and crazy games, even prototype form, over the years, and I usually thoroughly enjoy them. This one I did not. I have to say I strongly disliked this game. Even liking silly things, and you know, it kind of reminded me a little bit of a party game called Curses, where you get things that are similar to the feat, and then you have to do something while you're doing that, and they compound each other, and it's silly. And I like games like that. I actually really like Curses. And this kind of took like the little bits and pieces of Curses that were like that, and then put them in there. But for me, the game, I had plenty of problems with the game. Number one is it's not really a game, it's really an activity for me. Because yes, you're trying to get 6 spells, but quite honestly, there's not really any choices at all, meaningful choices in the game. You've got 2 spells, you know what your dice are. They've got 2 arrows, 2 of the star symbols, and then one squiggly, one squiggly thing and one broken wand. So you're looking at your things and you gotta be the fastest one. So of course, you're always gonna pick the one that's the easiest to do. And they're very not balanced, which Steve is really good about not balancing things on purpose to make an experience. In this case, I think that part of it bombed, because I'm always gonna pick the one that's easier to get. Even if you go through the deck and you look at the ones that have the special abilities, it's like, oh cool, maybe these ones are harder to get, but if I can get them, it will screw everybody else up or do something extra special. Not always the case. Some of them are harder, but some of them are not that much more hard than the regular ones that don't have special abilities. So I don't really think this game has a lot of choices, which makes me think it's not really a game, it's really an activity. And even just as a silly activity, unfortunately, it wasn't that fun for me. The activity needs to stand on its own. You think of Telestrations. It's not a game, it's an activity, but the activity is so enormously fun and engaging and makes you laugh that it works. This is just silly, and sure, sometimes you might giggle and laugh. You know, doing a karate chop or putting your hands in handcuffs or knocking on the table, doing things like that. It's okay, but it's not like so awesomely funny that it makes the game like Telestration does. So I have a big problem with this one. It didn't really feel like a game because there were no real meaningful decisions. It was just about speed, and I have plenty of speed games that don't try to be silly that I enjoy. I like speed games. This one I didn't. So unfortunately, there's not anything about this game that I really liked. I feel like I'm maybe missing the boat of something big here, but I've read through the rules a ton of times. I don't see anything I'm doing wrong. I just didn't enjoy it on any of the things that it was trying to be. Unfortunately, I cannot recommend this, and that's ta-da.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.